So now we are discussing the layer by layer functionality of the OSI model, and we will learn the diagram of each layer, how the layers are working. So one of the important thing about the physical layer, we know that here we are having the bits. Means everything come in the form of bits, and it is used for deciding the topology. Means which kind of topology we are using, like mesh, star, hub, hybrid. So that is the task of physical layer. Then afterward, which mode we are going to use? Mode in the sense simplex, half duplex. Then the speed of data. So everything is decided at this level. So this is the physical layer. Now, talking about the diagram of physical layer, in the earlier example we have seen how the packets are going to transfer. The complete diagram is based upon that. So we know that we are learning the physical layer. So first of all, what we have to do, we will make a box. Now this box we are representing as the physical layer. We know one thing, the top we are having the user which is interacting the application layer, and below we are having the transmission medium. So the wire is coming, transmission medium. From transmission medium the data is coming and it will reach to the user. So below I can say is the transmission medium. So I will write here, below the physical layer is transmission medium, and above the physical layer we are having the data link layer. So here we are having data link layer. From the transmission medium we are getting the complete data. So this is the complete data which we are getting from the transmission medium. And we know that this is the combination of data and the header. So this is data and this is header, because the physical layer deal with the bits. So that's why we are saying it is 0, 1, 0. Anything you can mention, header, or you can say even H1, totally up to you. And after that 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, this is the data. Out of that, this header is discarded and only data part is given to the data link layer. Such type of diagram we have already discussed. So this is the diagram of physical layer. So when you are going to explain the physical layer in the examination, you have to make this diagram. Now we are discussing the next layer, which is the data link layer. So now the physical layer task is over and data is passed to the data link layer. The responsibility of data link layer is the framing. As we are having the bits, similarly we are having the frames over there. So framing means bits are combined into the frame, and we know that frame is the combination of head as well as tail. So there we are also having the flow control, error control. So these are the functionality of data link layer. And one more thing which is very important is hope to hope delivery. Well, I will discuss this thing with the help of one diagram, but first of all I am explaining the diagram of data link layer. To learn the diagram of data link layer, first of all we are making the box. Now this box we are writing is data link layer. So this is data link layer we are learning. Above that we are having network layer. So we will write here network layer. Below that we are having physical layer. So we are mentioning physical layer. From the physical layer the data is coming, and this is the complete data which is coming, and this data is the combination of head as well as tail. because we know that this is the data link layer which is having the head as well as trail. So we are mentioning the first block, that is for head, second block for data, and the last block for tail. We are learning the data link layer which is the second layer. So we will mention H2 and T2. So that means the header of second layer and tail of second layer. Out of this, the header is discarded, tailor is discarded, and only data is passed to the network layer. So this is the diagram of data link layer, and now we are learning that what is hope to hope delivery. I am making one diagram to make you understand. Let us suppose that this is our system. Let us suppose that user is here, U1, interacting with this system, and there is one more system, again user is interacting. This is C1, this is C2. In between these two computers, there are many devices, like we are having the router or maybe the bridges, but I am taking the example of the router. So these are the devices in between. From system to the device, it is called hope to hope delivery. Similarly, from one device to another device is hope to hope. Again, another device to the system, it is again hope to hope. So we can say that from computer to router, router to router, and router to computer, these are the three hope to hope delivery. Hope means next element. How many hopes are there? So how many elements are there? So that is the meaning of hope to hope delivery. So from one device to another device, the delivery is responsible with the help of data link layer. And now we are learning the next layer, which is the network layer. And here our data is now forwarded to the network layer. So talking about the responsibility of network layer, just like on the physical layer we are having bits. Bits are combined, and the data link layer we are having frame. Similarly on network layer we are having the packets. So packets are made on the network layer, and also routing. Routing means how my data is going to other destination, that is taken care by the network layer. Means let us suppose that from my device to another device there are many possible paths. So which path will be followed is called the routing. Then the next thing which is important is host to host delivery. Earlier we have discussed hope to hope, and here we are having host to host delivery. So this I will discuss, but first of all I am taking the diagram of the network layer. So now we are having the same box. We are creating this box. We are learning the network layer. So this box represents the network layer. Above that we are having transport layer. So we are mentioning here transport layer. Below that we are having the data link layer. So here we are mentioning data link layer. From the data link layer, the data is transferred. So data is going. Now this data is the combination of head as well as the data. So here we are having the head. It is the third layer. So we can say that H3, and this is the data. Now head portion is discarded and only data is passed to the above layer. So this is the diagram of the network layer. We can put the cross on the header if we want, or if we don't put the cross. Both diagrams are okay. We can take out any of the representation, because it is very much clear that the header and data is coming from the data link layer and only data is passed to the transport layer. Now there is one more thing, which is host to host delivery. That is very much interesting. We know that When we are dealing from one device to another, that is hope to hope. But when we are talking from source to destination, host to host, means from start to end, if I talk about, that is called the host to host. It is also called source to destination. Now, network layer is not responsible for the data transferring between computer to router, router to router, or router to other device, then device to the computer. No. Network layer is responsible for your system and my system. The data is transferring from one system to another system directly. In between, how many devices are there? Network layer is not responsible because already the data link layer is working for that. So you can see that as we are increasing the layer by layer, the layer functionality is becoming more broader. Just like we have started from the bits combined to frame, frame combined to packet. So this is how the functionality is going more broader. And now we are discussing the next layer, which is the transport layer. Now we are discussing the transport layer. The data from network is now coming to the transport layer. So to make the diagram of transport layer, we are taking a block. Let us suppose that this is a block of transport layer. So I'm writing here transport layer. Above that we are having the session layer. So here we have the session layer, and below we are having is the network layer. If I talk about the functionality of transport layer, then the transport layer is responsible for the segmentation. Just like we are having the bits on the physical layer, bits are combined into frame on the data link layer. Frames are merged to make the packet. Now packets are combined to make the segment. Also, there we are having is the process to process delivery plus flow control and the error control, and process to process delivery. The flow control and error control is the functionality of data link layer as well as the transport layer. But we have learned that if I am talking about the devices, network devices which we are using like switch, bridge, hub and router, their error correction and flow control is done by data link layer. But if I talk about the system, from system to system, then this is done by transport layer. Means from your system to my system. We are not talking about the elements, we are talking about the main hosts. So their flow control and error control is done by the transport layer. Now, if I talk about process to process delivery, we know that from one device to another, if we are sending, that is called hope to hope. From one device to another, it is again hope to hope, then device to the computer, it is hope to hope. From one system to the last system, it is called host to host. Now on these hosts, means the system, we are having various process running. Let us suppose that one Excel file is running. So let us suppose process 1. One other process like Chrome or something is running. So this is called process 2. Similarly here also there are certain processes which are running, supposingly P2 and P1. Now from this process, if I talk about to another process, if we are sending the data and their communication between process to process is taken care with the help of the transport layer. You can see that how we are going to broaden our topic. So this is the process to process. We can see that as we are increasing the layers, we are also broadening the topic. Means first we was talking about the small network devices on the data link layer, hope to hope. Then we talk about the computer to computer communication on the network layer, host to host. Then now the file open or some process open on your system to my system, that is called process to process. So this is how we are going to broader the topic. Now, the diagram of the transport layer, we can see that the segmentation is going here. Segmentation means we are going to combine the packets. So this is very interesting diagram. From the network layer, there are different packets are coming. Let us suppose that these are the packets. I am assuming that 3 packets are coming from the network layer. This is one packet, this is another packet, and this is one more packet. So 3 packets are coming from the network layer, and we know that this is the 4th layer on which the packets are coming. So all are having header H4 and the data. So these 4 packets are coming from the network and all are having header and data. So this packet, second packet, and 3 packets, we are assuming 3 packets. So these are coming from the network layer to the transport layer. Now we know that the header is going to discard. So header will not be taken. Only data portion is giving. So only data portion we are taking out. So this is the data portion we are taking. So all the data portion are taken and they are given to the session layer. So the data of this one, second one, and third one is taken and the header is removed. So this way the transport layer is going to work, and these packets are now combined to make the segments. So this is the diagram of the transport layer. Now the next one we are having is the session layer. So data is now moving to the session layer. So now from the transport layer, we are moving the data to the session layer. To make the diagram of session layer, we are representing a block. This is the block of session layer. So I am writing here session layer. Above that we are having the presentation layer, and below that we are having the transport layer. In the earlier diagram we have seen that from the session layer we are having the various data which is taken from the transport layer. Means transport layer is going to pass on the data to the session layer. But first of all, we must know what are the functionality of session layer. So session layer functionality is the checkpoint creation and synchronization. So synchronization. Now whatever the data packets which are coming from the transport layer to session layer, they are sync. Sync means they are joined together. So that is called synchronization. And checkpoint creation. Checkpoint means on after some time there is a checkpoint created so that the data should not lose. Just like I have taken the example of the downloading a movie. If the movie is on 60% network goes, still it goes on the 60%, meaning 60% downloaded. It will not go to the start from 0. So that is a checkpoint creation. Now talking about the diagram of session layer. Now we are assuming that this whole portion is coming. One is header and 3 data packets which we have taken. So these all are coming from the transport layer to the session layer. This is the header 5. There is a point mentioned synchronization. These all are sync. Sync means they are joined together. So this is joining of those packets which are sent from the transport layer. So these are the 3 packets which we have taken, the data packets. So these 3 we have joined. So this red portion is called the synchronization, means they are sync. So these are sync with each other, and these all are the data. So these 3 data packets are sync with the header. So this complete thing we are getting from the transport layer. And we know that we are going to discard the header and only data is going to pass. So from there we are only going to take out the data. So the data is taken out from here and other portions we have skipped. So only data is passed to the presentation layer. These 2 layers diagrams are different, means one is session and one is transport layer. Otherwise all the layers are having very simple diagram. only the header is removed and data is taken. So that is the diagram. So now we are discussing the next layer, which is the presentation layer. Now the data is going to pass from session layer to the presentation layer. So to learn the presentation layer, we have to make a box. So this is the box which we have made for the presentation layer. Above that we are having the application layer. So there is the application layer. And below that we are having the session layer. If I talk about the functionality of presentation layer, then we know that it is going to check out the syntax. So syntax and semantic is taken care by the presentation layer, and it is also helping for the translation, encryption, compression. So all these things are taken care with the presentation layer. Now to understand the diagram of presentation layer, we are putting a data which is passed from the session layer to presentation layer. Let us suppose that this is the data which is passed from session layer to presentation layer, and this is the combination of head and the data. The diagram is very much simple. It is a sixth layer, that's why we are mentioning H6. So this whole part is given from session layer to presentation layer. Header is discarded and only data is passed to the application layer. So this way we have learned the presentation layer. Now the next one layer we are having is the application layer. Now the data is passed from presentation layer to application layer. So we are on the application layer, and from the application layer user will get the data. So to make the application layer, we are making a block. So this is the block of application layer. So here we are having application layer. Above that we are having user. So user is present here. And below we are having is the presentation layer. So there is the presentation layer. We know that the application layer is responsible for the user interface. So user interface is given by the application layer. Also the network virtual terminal means you are having the virtual terminal. On your system you are having a very good screen where you are having very good diagrams. Actually there are not. You are chatting to the person, you are having the video calling. So that is all virtual. So that virtual terminal is given to you. All the file service, directory services are given, mail services. So that access control, authentication, everything is given to you with the help of application layer. So now we are learning the diagram. So from here we are getting the data packet. So this data is passed on, which is a combination of header. Header is H7 and this is a data. So this is completely taken from the presentation layer. So this whole thing is given from the presentation layer, and only data is passed on to the user. But wait, what user will do with the data? Nothing. Because user is not here to interact with the data directly. There is one thing which is in middle. These are the various applications. Because there are so much data on your system, but I am not here to read out the data because I am a user. I want the graphics. I want the protocols. Because for the file transfer, I need a protocol, file transfer protocol. For mailing, I need a mail service, SMTP, simple mail transfer protocol. For domain name system, I need a protocol. So there are various protocols which are there in between. So here, this all data is given to the various protocols and the applications. So these are the applications from which the user will interact. And user is now getting interact with the applications. So this whole interaction is done with the user. Now you may ask, what is the data? Assume that on your phone, what is data? Your images is your data, your contact list is your data, and how the apps are using. Your WhatsApp is accessing all your images and your contact list. Your Facebook is accessing all your images and the contact list. Similarly, Instagram is accessing your contact list and the images. So all the apps maximum you're using, they are accessing your data. So whatever the data application layer is giving, so there are multiple applications which user is interacting. So this way the OSI model works, and you can see that we have proved that from one wire to the user, the all layers are working and their functionality is totally different. So this was not the first model, it was the proposed model. The first model was the TCP IP model,